So when we last spoke, Australia effectively ended their dominance of the white ball form of the tour of their home summer with India, with them losing the third ODI. We always knew that it was going to be tough without Pat Cummins for the rest of the white ball tour, and Mitchell Starc as well, not being available for the third ODI, despite having figures of 1 for 144 from his previous 18 overs in the last two games. He was still a big psychological loss going into the third ODI without David Warner as well. Was going to be tough due to his form. So Australia, with their injuries and rests, kind of were on the back foot a little bit, with Sean Abbott having to come in, Ashton Agar having to come in, and yeah, Australia bowled pretty well in that third game initially, keeping it really, really tight until Hardik Pandya and Jadeja came on. They essentially took the game away from Australia, with Jadeja getting a 50 ball 66, and Pandya getting 90, his highest 92, his highest score, and that took his ODI series tally to over 200 runs on the best series he's played thus far, and making him someone really well known, more well known and more well liked by Indian and Australian fans alike, just by what he's been able to do, how he's been able to win and turn games. And yeah, Sean Abbott initially bowled very well, started getting a bit beaten around, and Australia's chase, it never really got going, with Aaron Finch departing early, minus Labuschagne, the new one-day opener, tried out for the third one-dayer. He didn't get going either. Steve Smith, his lowest score of the series, with his lowest strike rate. Ashton Agar picking up a niggle. No Marcus Stoinis, of course, injured in the first one-dayer. And these injured, and India ended up winning by close margin in the end, as Glenn Maxwell, as he did throughout the one-day series, really stood up, getting about nearly 150 runs himself with a couple of half centuries. So if he was there at the end of that third one-dayer, when Australia needed 35, if he didn't get out, there would have been a strong chance. The problem was Ashton Agar, he couldn't run in that game and picked up calf injury, ruling him out for the rest of the white ball summer after he performed well in his 10 over spell, getting 2 for 44. And India carried this momentum into the 2020 series, continuing with Natarajan and Shardul Thakur replacing Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami into the 2020 series, who both bowled exceptionally well in the third one-dayer, with Natarajan getting Smith and Aaron Finch out in that third one-dayer. And in the first 2020, India was sent in to bat, and they made 160. Looked like a pretty easy chase, with Aaron Finch and Darcy Short getting off to a bit of a flying start. But once Aaron Finch went, the chase went downhill, with Australia losing by 12 runs, with Steve Smith and the rest of the players not really getting going. And Australia's injury crisis continued again, with Aaron Finch ruled out for the next 2020 with a quad injury. So This brought two new openers to the crease and more changes for the second 2020, with Darcy Short and Matthew Wade opening, Sean Abbott coming in as Stark, being available for the first 2020, was not for the second, and neither was Hazelwood. So this brought Sean Abbott and Daniel Sams in. Daniel Sams debuted on Sunday in Sydney for the second game, which I was fortunate enough to go to again, as well as Andrew Ty being recalled. Mitchell Swepson was also added for Ashton Agar. He performed not too greatly in the first 2020, getting a caught and bowled wicket of Kohli, the prize wicket, quite cheaply actually, which was probably a highlight, but besides that, in that first game, he bowled quite short. He improved in the second game, picking up a wicket and going for only 25 runs from his 4. So he was brought in for all 3 games, the first one as well, and the second. So without Stark, Hazelwood, and Cummins, that brought Andrew Ty, Sean Abbott, and Daniel Sams in. Daniel Sams started the second 2020 decently, getting some swing early. But once the ball stopped swinging, he started getting hit around a bit. And despite Australia getting 195 in the second game, Tangarasu Natarajan, he got 2 for 20 from his 4. So an outstanding effort, going at only 5 runs and over. And Matthew Wade impressed, getting his first half century of the tournament, of the series in the second game, with Enriquez playing well, Smith also playing well, getting Australia, and Stoinis returning, getting Australia up to 5 for 195, and this was without captain Aaron Finch, who was ruled out in the first game with a quad injury. And unfortunately, due to some brilliant hitting from Darwan, Pandya, Shreyas Iyer, and Lokesh Rahul, as well as some inexperienced bowling, India got over the line with 2 balls to spare in an absolute classic finish, winning by 6 wickets. And last night was the third 2020 where Australia finally won, keeping their number 1 2020 ranking, having to only win 1 game to do so. They batted first again, with Matthew Wade continuing his fine form, getting 85, and Maxwell performing once again, getting another half century, his first in the 2020 series, but this was a chanceful knock with many opportunities to get out, drop catches, he got out off a no ball, etc. And despite Virat Kohli also getting a chanceful 85 through some great death bowling by Andrew Ty and economical bowling again from Adam Zampa, as he so often does, and Mitchell Swepson bowled extremely well, getting 3 wickets, Australia was able to get over the line. So it was a tight tussle of a contest, Australia only winning by 13 runs. And yeah, it was a great series to watch, especially how India bounced back with a few changes to their squad. But one big controversy from the first 2020 was the ruling out of Jadeja, who initially had injured his hamstring. He got hit on the head by a bouncer. Then he ended up getting 20 runs off the final over. However, the problem was India did not employ concussion protocol by assessing Jadeja straight away and taking him off regardless of how late in the game it was. They also did not substitute him with a like-for-like player, with Chahal, a leg spinner, who usually bats quite low down the order, coming to replace him, and he ended up getting man of the match figures. And the same sort of controversy could be said last night with Rod Tucker missing some very wide deliveries off Andrew Ty, which would have given India 3 extra balls and may have changed the game. So that is a wrap of the One Day in 2020 series from the second One Day onwards. And tonight, just in case you weren't sick of all the cricket already, the Big Bash League starts with Sydney Sixers taking on the Hobart Hurricanes at Blundstone Arena. And on the 17th of December, the Test series against India starts with Will Pucovski unfortunately in doubt, putting Australia's opening crisis further down, with David Warner and Will Pucovski now in doubt, with David Warner completely ruled out and Will Pucovski unlikely to play. That puts into serious question who is going to be the second opener, especially now that Joe Burns still hasn't found any form from trial games so far, but encouraging signs for Australia and their quest for an all-rounder prospect. Cameron Green scored a magnificent 100 yesterday in the Australia-India A game at Drummoyne Oval and took a couple of wickets. So that is a really encouraging sign, especially because he's a young player, good for the next generation. So that's it for now.